What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Punk Rock Radar. Today, we are finally doing another tier list. It's been a while, I think, but we have a special request from a bundle purchaser. We have Chris, aka Silver Thumb, in the Discord. He wanted us to do something with Goldfinger. I believe a tier list was one of his options, so that's what we're gonna do. Not too many records. I think there's 8. So our rules today are going to be one album in the S tier and at least one album in every other tier. That's pretty much it. So I'm joined over here by Elliot, Discord Kingpin, aka Ergoth, and over there from DyingScene.com, Dylan, aka Screeching Bottle Rocket, and Titty Baby Punk Boy. So how you guys doing? We finally get this Goldfinger thing out of the way. This has been like a year in the making. I think this was like a 2023 video that kept getting pushed until somebody requested it. So here we are. How you guys feeling?
Yeah, somehow Goldfinger won the poll to be the next tier list over like a bunch of other bands. I was pretty surprised by that, but we finally did get to it. It was like the idea was there, and then it got scrapped. And last one we did was the band's debut and their latest album. So we haven't done like a singular band in even longer of time. But I mean, I'm excited to do this. So my experience, Goldfinger is a band that is carried very heavy by their singles, but it was interesting to go back through and listen to them and try to think of what the best one is here. But what do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, I didn't dive into this till very late last night. Like 11 o'clock at night, I'm laying in bed, and I was like, I should probably come up with some points to hit on for these Goldfinger records, and maybe an idea of where I should rank them. So, as always, a lot of foresight put into my decisions here.
Excellent.
I'm winging this too, man. Don't worry. I'm just going on memory alone. I just had to listen to the newer stuff, but...
Yeah, I'll say I think people in the Discord are right. There really is only like one or two right answers for how this tier list is going to go. So we'll see what happens here.
I'll say
we'll find out very early on whether we made the right answers or not.
Yeah.
My prediction, I told these guys already. I think despite this being pretty straightforward, I think we're going to have 3 different S tier albums. So we'll see. Right. We'll see if I'm right. But let's get into this. We've got the 1996 self-titled album. We'll start with Dylan and we'll work our way over. So, Dylan's self-titled record, where's it going to go for you?
Yeah, so this was the hardest decision I had to make, was whether I wanted to put this in S or A.
Yeah.
And this is what I spent, like, the hour I spent on this, I probably spent 45 minutes of it trying to make this decision. I don't feel great about it, but this is my A tier record.
Okay.
It's a coin flip between this and the next one we're going to talk about, but I really don't know what puts Hangups in front of it. It's such a fucking good record.
Well, spoiler alert.
Well, you know. Anyway, my one knock against it, I guess, is, despite their reputation as a ska band, this isn't a very ska-heavy record, whereas the next one we're going to talk about is. But still, like, a ton of great songs and funny songs, like Here in Your Bedroom and The Shower and all that stuff, so... I mean, this is quintessential Goldfinger.
Yeah, I was about the same as Dylan, where I was like, the majority of my time thinking about the Goldfinger tier list was thinking about whether or not the self-titled was S or A, which is probably the biggest question, because it's definitely like one of their best records. And I would say I really like the snare sound on this record as well. It's like almost like a hardcore band snare, that real heavy pop and snap. And then they do that song, The City with Two Faces, and it's like actually just like a straight up hardcore song, and it like works pretty well. So I kind of enjoy it. I can see how it gets distracting if you're hearing that snare constantly pop in your ears, but I kind of liked it. Here in Your Bedroom, it's got some classics, but I think there was another record of theirs that I think does a little bit more than self-titled does. Though I think self-titled, if it's in somebody's S, like I wouldn't ever argue about that. I think it's like a perfectly fine S tier album. So it's going in A for me as well.
Now that you mention it, the snare may have been what like subconsciously did the record in for me.
I liked it, but I was like, I can see how people would find this annoying because it's really like, definitive. It pops like right in your eardrums.
It sounds like the son of the Saint Anger snare.
Yeah,
it does.
Elliot, I'm shocked that you like. I feel like across all these albums, there's a common theme where the drums are mixed strangely. It's either a tin can or a pillow, depending on where you are in the discography.
This is a tin can. I prefer the tin can over the pillow. I'll say that.
I think Lars got inspiration for the snare because this came out 7 years earlier than Saint Anger.
I think it actually kind of works in there.
Darren was onto something here.
Yeah, so a little bit surprising. We're all going to be in A tier on this one. So my prediction
you're wrong.
Be wrong.
Who knows? We have no clue. Well, we already know what Dylan's S tier is. But...
Yeah. Well, like I think as an album, this is like the songs themselves. I think it's probably my favorite mix of songs. But I think outside of a couple, like especially like Here in Your Bedroom, Mabel, Miles Away, I feel like there's a little bit of a lack of standouts, which is why I'm putting it in my A tier. But I think this is a great album, and it's gonna be A tier, and it's miles better than a lot of what we'll hear soon. But
we'll get into that. But real quick, I just want to say I've jotted down because a few lyrics I tried to every record of some of John Feldman's like amazing songwriting here, and I will say this: John Feldman's great at writing a catchy tune. He's great at writing an infectious chorus, but some of his lyrics are very questionable. And the one I got off of this one is, I think, what does it come from? What song is that? Hold on. Well, the lyrics are, how deep is your love? How deep is the ocean? How deep is the sea? And
it's miles away.
That's miles away. Okay, yeah. And I'm just like, this is like, I don't know. It's like some, like almost like one of those like Christian hymn choruses. You could be singing, be like, "How deep is God's love?
Yeah.
How deep is the ocean?" Maybe it's a parody of that or something.
That's like a 7-year-old's poem right there.
It's like a 7-year-old's poem. I don't know if it's tongue in cheek or not. I can't tell. It's very consistent across all the Goldfinger records that there is like very, like just 7-year-old writing lyrics here. So
yeah, none of those are as deep as his lyrics apparently. But
no. All right, we'll get into Hangups, and go ahead, Dylan. You start us off because we already know where you're going.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, this is a lot more ska. The signature Goldfinger song opens it, Superman, but you also have 20 Cent, Goodbye, Question, Authority, Chris Caton. It's a fun album. It's definitely their best.
damn.
All right. Yeah, I am also putting Hangups in the S tier.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, I was listening to it, and I was going back and forth between 3 records, like constantly just being like, which one of these is better? And I finally came to the conclusion that Hangups is the best record. I think it has the most solid, catchy songs. I think it's the most consistent. I think it's probably the most accessible as well. The snare is toned back a little bit, so I like the snare in the first one, but it's definitely like works better as like a pop punk record. The Hangups does, and obviously you started off with like Superman, which is like a song that I don't know, to this day I still never get sick of, and then, of course, you got My Head, Question, Authority, and the first instance of a new metal-esque parody track with SMP. So there's a couple of these. So SMP, one of the new metal parody tracks, which Goldfinger has like a lot. So
Yeah.
they thought it was really funny to parody new metal, apparently, on every album.
The Aquabats did it better, in my opinion.
Aquabat with the, what is it? I slept on my arm.
Yeah, I fell asleep on my arm.
Yeah, I fell asleep on my arm's definitely better than any of the Goldfinger new metal parody tracks. But
Right.
what are you doing with Hangups, John?
It's time for me to be a contrarian here.
Go ahead. Put it in B.
I am going B, actually. I feel like this album's a little overrated. To me, it's incredibly top heavy. I think like right around Carlita, it kind of falls like way off. And like Superman is great. My Head is great. 20 Cent Goodbye is great. I feel like it's like half a good album. I know people love this one, but like it's never connected with me as much as three others, which we're talking about Goldfinger. That's rough. But yeah, I'm just gonna go B. I think it'd be an incredible first half of an album, which it is. But as a complete record, it's just the A side for me.
All
All
right.
right, for once I endorse all the rude, mean comments. Shit on this guy, everybody.
Hangups and B. What a sin.
Good lord.
I do what I want.
Yeah, that's the hottest take John's ever had on this channel, definitely. Cool. Hangups B and B. But I guess we'll go to the next record here, which is going to be Stomping Grounds. And I guess let's mix it up a little bit. Let's have John go first on this one, Stomping Ground, because I feel like this is going to be John's S tier. I'm not sure.
Yes.
So
It is my S tier. This was the first Goldfinger album I ever had, and I just feel like this to me is peak Goldfinger production. I think this sounds so cool. It has like mixes of like a lot of what was happening in the early 2000s, late 90s in rock. Like they're not new metal per se, but I feel like some of those production tricks are mixed in here and there. There's a lot of cool guitar effects. Yeah, there's some bad songs. Don't get me wrong. There are definitely some bad songs, but
Bro is the best new metal parody song they have. So at least he has that going for it.
I think I would take Woodchuck over Bro.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, Woodchuck. Yeah, Woodchuck's pretty good.
But
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the first three are good. I love Don't Say Goodbye. I love San Simeon. It's got the 99 Red Balloons cover, which, is probably abrasive to a lot of people by now, but I still like it. Yeah, I think this is my favorite one. Again, this is totally just subjective. This is my favorite Goldfinger record, so I'm putting it in the S tier.
All right. This was one I was never crazy familiar with, Stomping Ground. It was always Hang Up, self-titled, and Open Your Eyes are the ones I listen to the most, I would say. And this is a solid Goldfinger record. Like, I'm not going to mock it or anything like that. I don't think it's as good as Hang Ups. I don't think it's as good as self-titled, but I think there's definitely... the production probably is like one of their most solid, I will say.
It's fun production.
There's also just like some songs that are just like, yeah, obviously there's some bad songs. And the biggest song, Counting the Days, is like just it's like the worst lyrics in the chorus. One of my favorite. It's like, still counting the days I've been with you. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's really good at just let's count numbers. Let's name months. Let's just do this for the chorus. It's like the most phoned in lyrics I've ever seen, but it's catchy. It'll get stuck in your head. I think Carry On's really good. The End of the Day is really good. Margaret Ann's really good. But maybe it's just like there's not enough nostalgia with it for me, but I'm putting Stomping Ground in the B tier. I think it's a good record, but I don't think it's my favorite by any means. Dylan?
So I had this in the B tier until a moment ago. I don't know why, but I'm going to move it up to the A tier, which is unfortunate because I could have stayed in lockstep with you here, Elliot. But just know spiritually, I had this as a B.
Yeah.
Spiritually. Yeah, I mean,
the other one would be a spiritual A. Sorry, go ahead.
Obviously, due to my age, I was pretty late to the party on Goldfinger, but the first two compact discs I had were the self-titled one that my uncle gave me, and then I got Hangups, and then I got this, and I was like, get like 3 songs in, I was like, where's the ska? Where's the ska, Jonathan Feldman? There's no ska. This is when Goldfinger decided to stop being 50-50 ska pop punk and become a middle of the road pop punk band.
Apparently, they've only had one ska record though, so which is pretty funny. There's only one record you would consider ska. Maybe some of the later stuff.
Well, I mean, like any ska, they just complete. There's nothing on here.
Is there a zero ska?
There's
Yeah.
the beginning of San Simeon is as close as it gets.
I couldn't remember. I guess there isn't any. Yeah. So
I was very disappointed the first time I listened to this. I mean, I don't know that it's grown on me, but like, I don't really care as much that there's not any ska on it anymore. And I do think there's some really good pop punk songs, like the opening track is crazy good.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm not a big covers guy, but I do think the 99 Red Balloons cover is really solid and better than anyone else's cover of that song.
Definitely.
So yeah, I guess I'll be more forgiving of it and bump it up to A, so the self-titled album's not lonely.
Nice.
All right. Well, we're all a little different here. So, but let's go to the next record here, which is going to be Open Your Eyes. And I'll start us off with this one, because I think this one was one I said when we first did this, I was like, oh, this is S tier.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, so I listened to this one like a bunch when I was younger, mostly because my introduction to Goldfinger is obviously the Tony Hawk games, which Superman and Spokesman was on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. So weirdly enough, like I always thought like I only listened to like 3 Goldfinger records, but going through this discography, I realized like how much Goldfinger I've actually ended up listening to over the years. How many of these songs are still so familiar to me? But Spokesman, I think, is actually a really solid pop punk record. Like, for what it is, I think it has a ton of super catchy songs on it. I think Spokesman is one of their best songs. Happy is super fun. Decision is really good. The starting track, Going Home, I think it's a really solid, just early 2000s kind of like teetering drive-through era sounding like pop punk record, and I really enjoy it. And also, it has the best nu metal parody with Woodchuck. Which honestly is like, if you're sitting around with your buddies just like smoking weed, this is just like a stupid joke you would come up with, but Goldfinger decided to make it like an entire song, and it's like amusing at least.
Slap
I would
right
say
in the middle of the album.
slap right in the middle of the album. I would say that the biggest offender obviously is like the Benji Madden feature on the song January, where the chorus is literally just naming all the months: January, February, March, April, May, June through December. I wish you would stay. And it's like so somehow John Feldman has like got away with writing stuff like this for an entire career. It's like insane that people would give him a pass for just like naming the months. I will say this though, that song was stuck in my head for like 3 days. It was quite awful. I was just sitting there singing all the months all of a sudden. I'm like, fuck, I'm singing January. So it was catchy, I'll give it that. I'm putting it in the A tier. I think Open Your Eyes is A tier. It was nostalgically an S tier, but I think Hangups and I think Self-Titled are honestly better records than it going back and listening to them. So, and Stomping Ground, it's pretty close. I would say honestly they're kind of tied, but I'm trying to put 2 in every tier except for S and D. So
Yeah.
which I think we'll have to do it that way. But go, whoever wants to go next.
Let Dylan go. I want to hear what he says.
What happened to dignity?
All right.
This is more of the same from Stomping Ground, but not as good. I don't think it's a very good album at all. I got it in C tier. There's just,
Wow.
I mean, Spokesman is like the only like true standout song on the record. I have Happy and Radio also earmarked in my notes, but Spokesman's the only one I really care about on the record. The rest of it, I could skip.
All right,
Damn.
John.
Yeah, I think the first 3 songs are really good.
Yeah, they're bangers.
Again, then it gets dicey. I think there's a lot of middling and kind of bad song. Like January to me is the worst song on the record. Spank Bank, obviously not good. Youth.
Yeah, the ending of this is pretty sloppy. If this was 12 songs, it'd be a much better record.
Yeah.
You're right.
I think I'm gonna go B on it, but I would say it's below Hangups. Like Hangups would be a B plus, and this would be a B minus. But I think the first 3 songs rock. The rest of it, not so much.
All right, and we're going to the next one here, which is going to be Disconnection Notice, which I had never listened to, but I had heard the song Wasted. But Dylan, you want to start us off with Disconnection Notice and your thoughts on this one?
I'm wasted again.
Yeah, Disconnection Notice is trash. This is a D tier album. All day, every day of the week, 24/7, 365. The opening track is like kind of, sort of okay-ish, and then the rest of it is just complete ass. So, D tier for Disconnection Notice.
I'll hop in here too.
I like Disconnection Notice.
All right, well I'll go. I think this is their worst album, dude. This is terrible.
No way. No way. It's the worst album.
I don't think there's a single good song on here. This is
That's not true.
This is where the cliff happens. They've never climbed out from whatever cliff or pit that they fell in for this album. But yeah, this is god awful, dude. I think this is like one of the worst pop punk albums I've ever heard.
No, this is all right. I don't know. I listened to it. I was expecting it to be absolutely terrible because everyone was like shitting on it. It's not that bad. I mean, it starts off with like 2 pretty decent like pop punk songs, and then it just mellows out for the rest of the time. So it's like if you just don't like. I get if it's like boring or something like that, but I never thought like the melodies were bad or the songwriting was like that drastic of a fall off from even Open Your Eyes or what they've been doing before. It's just a more mellowed out version of them where they're just doing these kind of like almost like chill power pop songs for the entirety of the record. And like if you're in the mood for that, I actually don't think it's that bad. So I'm going to put Disconnection Notice in my B tier.
Oh my goodness.
So, I think it's actually all right. I think I liked Oceanside. I liked Wasted. What else did I like on it? I Want was a good song. So the worst lyric from Disconnection Notice is uncomfortable. I wish I was comfortable. So that's some lyrics from John Feldman.
My biggest knock against this record is like the art direction leads you to believe this is like John Feldman's answer to like American Idiot or something.
That's what I thought. It was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a political album.
Yeah, and then it's just a bunch of bullshit, and the only like real political talking points are like the PETA Fed stuff.
Iron Fist, I think, a little bit too.
It looks like a discount Good Riddance album cover.
Yeah.
So
man, Elliot, there's got to be like 200 pop punk bands I would take over this album. I'm shocked with the
probably, but what's coming up next, I hate even more.
I can feel it coming one more time, like the air I breathe in all my life.
So I don't think it's like crazy good. I thought it was just mediocre. So, but I'll start us off with this one. Because Hello Destiny is, I don't know if this is even controversial, but it's going to my D tier. I think this is almost like one of the most obnoxious. This is like Goldfinger trying to be Goldfinger. This is Goldfinger attempting to write a Goldfinger song. They're even hearkening back to the self-titled. And I just found this record to be quite annoying. I don't think it was produced really well. It sounds very cheap. I mean, from here on out, the production gets pretty wonky on all of this stuff, but I think like One More Time is like the only standout track on this one. And then of course you've got like just stupid songs like Hand Jobs for Jesus. And I would say I can't remember a single song off this record. Like there is just no standout melody. There's no standout anything. It all just sounds like Goldfinger's been compressed in just kind of like packaged in just like this generic Goldfinger sound, which Goldfinger already was like kind of like a generic band, but that's the point of them. It was just kind of catchy, simple songs to get into. This one, they're not catchy, so it's the worst. So I don't like Hello Destiny at all. But go ahead. What do you guys think of Hello Destiny?
So this is my lone B tier, and I don't feel great about it, but is what it is. It's a middle of the road record, and I guess B is the middle of the road tier. So, I would do like the cover art. It's obvious they're trying to do some fan service there with the astronaut lady and all that coming back, and I think it looks cool. Songs I have in my notes: One More Time, Get Up, which I like musically, but the lyrics are obviously very contrived. Goodbye and Without Me.
Yep. I have the same 4 songs I was gonna talk about, Dylan.
Oh, nice.
I think this is, we're at the point where Goldfinger's trying to write Goldfinger albums, but no longer can. I think One More Time is actually a pretty good song. Honestly,
it's a great song. It sets the standard really high, and then it drops off the map.
Yeah, I mean it gets progressively worse as well. Handjobs for Jesus is probably the worst song I've heard all year. And the Free Kevin Kajonas is also terrible. I don't know if I made it to Julian because I was like, how can this possibly turn around after those 2 turds? So I just stopped right there. I stopped waterboarding myself with this Goldfinger album. But it's a C. Just based on the first 4 songs, it's better than Disconnection and My Other D.
If you Google that Kevin Jonas guy, the only things that come up is like John Feldman talking about him and like this song itself. Like the guy is just like a fucking ghost. I think he's some like animal rights activist or some shit.
So he may never have been freed, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm glad he was immortalized on the worst Goldfinger record. I'm kidding. All right, next up we've got the Knife here, and I guess John, go ahead and go first on the Knife. What do you got to say about that?
I've been drinking to forget just how good it was.
So
the Knife.
This morning, like I was up stupid early, and I was like looking at like on Reddit, and I think the Hard Times, like just a couple, like just seeing how people had rated the Goldfinger records in the past. There's a lot of love for this album, and I don't understand it. I think this is the second worst one. I'm looking at the tracks now. There was one that really stuck out that was terrible. Overall, it feels like a band trying to copy Goldfinger, like a local band Goldfinger album. I just think it's really poorly done, and I don't find anything redeeming about it. I don't like really any of the songs, so it's gonna be my other D tier.
Oh, you got 2 D tiers?
Oh yeah, I could have 3 or 4 if I wanted.
Okay, you're going 2 D tiers in here. That's fair. I won't be as mean.
I literally have 3, and I just swapped one last minute.
Oh, I see. So you're only doing 1S and 1A. I see what's going on here. I was confused. I was wondering what you're gonna put in A. I don't know. Maybe he's got something for A.
Maybe.
Who knows? But the Knife, I would say it's as forgettable as the name. It's as forgettable as the album cover. I never even heard of it. I didn't even know they had. Like, I've heard of every single other Goldfinger record except for the Knife. I didn't even know it existed. And listening to it, I'll say this: I think it's better. I personally think it's better than Hello Destiny. It's a little catchier. The production is super cheap. Barely. If it is, it's barely better. But also, the Knife has like one of my least favorite Goldfinger songs. I think even more annoying than Handjobs for Jesus, which is the Orthodontist Girl.
Yeah, that's
I hate Orthodontist Girl. And like one of the lyrics in it is your hand in my mouth holding that tiny vacuum thingy. Which is like, and then he's like describing this girl putting her hands in his mouth. And it's like kind of gross to think of John Feldman like sexually harassing this girl at the dentist office. And it's just a terrible song. It's like awful. I mean, honestly, I'll put it in C just because I was gonna limit myself to 1S and 1D, but it's spiritually definitely a D. So I think the Knife is pretty bad. But Dylan, what do you got to say about the Knife?
Yeah, the orthodontist thing is like obviously like extremely tongue-in-cheek, like meant to like make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It just doesn't work.
I feel like someone who's not familiar with John Feldman's humor could very easily see that as something different. No, the record sucks. I mean, obviously he's like a producer first now, and these late period Goldfinger records just sound exactly the same as the two Matt Skiba Blink-182
Yes,
records.
Yeah, it's very phoned in.
And it's just, I don't like that music production has gone this way where you could have like 3 or 4 bands and like not even like objectively they sound the same. The instrumentation, they're not using real instruments on the final record. It all sounds like it could have been recorded by the same musicians, and it's kind of annoying. So I mean, I think Feldman's kind of like doing himself a disservice there, where like people are gonna compare this to those two Blink albums no matter what, just because they probably heard those already, and this sounds exactly the same, but the songs are somehow worse.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The last two, it just feels like Goldfinger playing Blink B-sides.
Yeah, definitely, especially the newest.
Yes.
And
so,
the one of the good songs on this, coincidentally, is the one with the Mark Hoppus cameo. Was it "See You Around"? Is the one he sings like a chorus or a verse on?
I think so.
Beacon is okay as well.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
Beacon's a good song, and that was one of the ones I had noted down. But yeah, we'll go to the last one here, which is "Never Look Back."
'Cause I just caught another one of your lies.
Which I remember hearing like a few songs off of this and thinking like it was decent. And then I went back to, I guess I'll just start us off here real quick. I kind of went back to this one, and I'll say this: it's kind of like if Goldfinger was tasked with writing the soundtrack of a Disney Channel original movie. That's the vibe I get from Never Look Back.
Yeah,
I'll say it's like catchy, but it is so overproduced to the point it's like I don't know how much I can go back to this. I think the songwriting's like a little better than maybe the Knife and stuff like that, but the production, I think this is probably like my least favorite production sound that Goldfinger has had. This is overproduction out the ass. There's not too many memorable tracks off of this one. If I had to think off the top of my head, what is it here? What's on here? I think Wallflower was decent.
Wallflower's good, yeah.
Yeah, let's see here. What else is there? Cannonball, I think, might have been fun. Let me see here. Yeah, Cannonball was one I had listed. So there's a few tracks that I think were fun, but this is obviously, it's going to my C tier. It's not anything incredible. And it's crazy, guys. Like, I get a Disconnection Notice, it's like slows it down like quite a bit and mellows out, but you think Never Look Back is better than Disconnection Notice? I have to hear this. So go ahead. Whoever wants to go.
Yeah, I'll hop in. I at its core, I don't think this is a terrible album. The problem with Disconnection Notice is that they're like trying to play a specific style that there's already so many bands that do so much better, and Goldfinger kind of had a sound, so it's like that first drop off too. Like, I don't think Open Your Eyes is a great album by any means, but like it was listenable. So like when I got this, I was like, this is terrible. Like, for like a band I like to put something out like that, it's hard to come back from it, and they haven't. But I think this is I think Good Guy is a decent song. I think Infinite is all right. I think Wallflower is pretty good. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 decent songs. Like, if I don't know if I would guess that this is even Goldfinger if you didn't tell me, but like kind of like what Dylan was saying.
Yeah, the production really takes away any personality they had. Yeah,
it's a soulless commercial pop punk album, but it has some catchy songs. That's about as nice as I'll be with this. So it's going in my C tier.
That's fair. Dylan, what do you got to say about Never Look Back?
Everything I said about the Knife. This is marginally better though. And if I had to describe John Feldman, it would be soulless commercial pop punk profiteer. And that's what this album is. Soulless commercial pop punk profiteering. I do like that they let Mike Herrera sing on it though. I don't remember if the previous one had any Mike Herrera singing, or if he was. I know he was touring with the band at that point.
Yeah, I don't
know
think
if
he
played.
recorded the knife with them. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, him being added definitely broke up the monotony a little bit. Where it added a little bit of at least like personality to the record.
But Infinite is okay. Cannonball is good, and then on the deluxe, Searchlight is a decent song as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I also it's funny. Like every 10 years, they trot out the astronaut lady, and it's like, hey guys, remember that first record we put out? You want to buy this one?
That's what I'm saying, man. So,
I do think it's more tastefully executed on.
it's
on
their
this
best.
one.
It's
Yeah.
their best album cover. Like literally, it's an awesome.
I
album.
don't know about that, but
Dude,
This one's better than this.
the self-titled or
Dude,
Hangups or
Stomping Ground with that S tier Photoshop. Come on. They
I mean,
knocked it
that's
out of the park.
I like. Yeah, Stomping Ground would be like my second pick. I do like the Stomping Ground, but the self-titled, it looks awful. I mean, it's iconic, but it looks god awful. The colors are so muddy and gross. I mean, so
Yeah.
it looks cheap. It looks very cheap. So,
I like
I
it.
mean, I think, yeah. I mean, you also like no.
Well, we did it. Let's wrap this one up here. I feel like we've been this has been probably the most negative tier list we've ever done, by far. But we could wrap it up though. Does anyone else have anything they want to say? We've got our rankings here. They ended up being pretty similar, just aside from Hangups and Elliot with Disconnection.
Yeah, I'll say Silver Thumb. When I'm on my deathbed speaking to my children, I'm going to tell them, do not waste multiple hours of your life listening to the Goldfinger discography. Whatever you do, don't do that. My one regret.
Yeah, I'm glad this is over.
my closing remarks. The first two Goldfinger albums are like Back to the Future 1 and 2. And then ever since then, they've just been releasing Back to the Future 3 over and over again.
That's fair. That's fair. Sure.
All right. So let's get out of here. So guys, if you have an idea for a video, if you want to come hang out, there's a link to the Discord down below. If you want to support the channel, there's a link to Limited Run. There's lots of cool punk records. I'm gonna have 2 pre-orders launching very soon this month, so keep an eye there. We also have 3 a new hoodie and 2 new shirts that are gonna be up pretty soon. So keep an eye out. Yeah, and thanks for watching the video. We hope you like Goldfinger as much as we do, and we'll see you all next time.
Peace out.